Choksey joining in on the show right now, and Vinit Bolinjkar as well will be joining in just a short while from now. Deven, hi, good morning. Good to have you on the show. Let's first start by understanding, the rebuttal now from the Adani Group as to how these allegations are nothing new, but just recycled.
Yeah, good morning, Aisha. Even to me also, I think it is very surprising to get this particular news coming in from Financial Times. Well, I think the American short seller and OCCRP, both of them probably seems to have taken the call whether I think they are the verdict provider in this kind of a situation. I think that if at all they have some significant proofs, I think they should reach out to Indian regulators who have got far more better abilities to interpret the subject instead of, I think, giving information only to media. And I think one should not be, I think, trying to manipulate this particular information for the sake of benefit that they have, I think, by doing the short selling in the market. So it is little unfortunate that I think this particular subject is being played on a proxy war basis. If at all, I think the genuine short selling has taken place, and if at all, I think they have genuine information to share, my understanding is that I think it is better to contact to Indian regulators and I think talk to them and I think put your case to them.
I mean, clearly, this new report reiterating the old facts again, right? It's pretty much a rehash and recycle of the same old stuff. These allegations wouldn't really change anything for the Adani Group, and nor should the investors be concerned.
The regulator is on the track as far as their findings are concerned. The Supreme Court appointed committee is also there, and I think they have also given their viewpoints on the subject. I don't think that I think anybody who is basically having a vested interest into the subject should be taking the position of becoming the verdict provider. In this case, I think the American short seller. So in that kind of a situation, I find that I think you are only recycling the old information and unnecessarily, I think, bringing up the attention of the market to you. Doesn't work at all well. And if at all, I think the regulation has to work probably instead of selling outside the listed market and outside the listed market's derivative trading platform, I think the short seller should have come to Indian market and short sold this particular quantity which they wanted to sell. Unfortunately, I think they use the bond instrument for short selling and that to outside the market. I don't think that I think it justifies at all. But
okay, Vinit bhai, good morning to you as well. I'm going to mark the Adani stocks, and I would say there is a little bit of sentimental rub-off there. There is no outright panic, which is what we want to bring out. Another point I want to bring out for our viewers is that markets will never react to the same thing twice. The balance sheet of Adani Group of companies after the fundraising, after the fact that promoters have sold their ownership is in a much more manageable manner. And 2 quarters out, mathematically, the cash flows have actually improved dramatically. So one of the reasons why the market reaction is so mature is because this is like old allegations which are accusatory in nature. B, the fundamental strength of Adani Group of stocks is in a much better condition. And I like to draw everyone's attention to one simple fact that if a group has gone ahead and done an acquisition, it means that they're very confident of cash flows. Forget about anything else. Vinit, let's take this point forward. Should markets outrightly dismiss this new set of allegations?
See, it's actually 1A and 1B of the same news. So earlier there were general allegations and now they're giving a little more specificity of how the money trail could have flown. Okay. Now, the fact that the management of Adani Group is coming out and saying that there is no evidence to suggest that there is any money trail found is, I'm sure that they're fairly confident that, their position is clear. And, more than that, I would like to get into the actual mechanics of why I think this could be happening. So, this has happened exactly after we took over the Haifa port, right? And recently, Adani has been in the news because they were looking to buy some ports in Greece after Prime Minister Modi's visit to Greece. This is in direct conflict with the Belt and Road Initiative of the Chinese. And if I were to ask you to connect the dots, you can very well know that George Soros's wife is of Oriental origin. And all these things coming together portends a picture which is more sinister than just a mere case of, pointing out corruption. I believe that it goes beyond that. This OCCPR is being used only as a front for that, and that's where the story stands.
Deven, I'm going to ask a direct question from a market standpoint. From a market standpoint, the decline in Adani Group of stocks today, I think it's more like a volatility. It is not any kind of a reaction to this new set of allegations. Can I say that?
Absolutely, Nikunj. And I think I think take forward the point which you're making. The group is basically making around 60,000 crore worth of EBITDA in a year. And even if you, I think, take this particular argument forward, it is basically growing at the rate of around 20%. So obviously, in 3.5, 4 years' time, I think the kind of EBITDA that they are producing out of the existing business, which is cash generating, in each of the vertical, be it port, be it airport, or be it any other power or other verticals, each of the verticals are cash generating verticals. In 3.5 to 4 years' time, I think the kind of money that they are producing by way of generating profit in itself, I think, is sufficient enough to pay off, I think, the whatever the debt that they have created. So from that perspective, too, I don't think that I think any of this particular thing demands any kind of fundamental questioning at this point of time. On the contrary, I believe that the market has become very mature on this subject now, and probably I think do realize that I think these infrastructure assets which are cash generating, they are absolutely most enviable assets, and any other investor of the world who would like to buy into India's growth story, they certainly would like to buy this asset at a cheaper cost. That is one of the reasons for which I buy. I feel that I think this particular story is being played out by shortening the I think the stocks and buying it at a lower price. I think from the market, that is what is going on. I think it's unfortunate. Regulations probably I think would know better about this subject, but I feel that the fundamentals of the companies and the group remain far more solid than what has been accused at this point of time.
Vinit, I'm trying to address our viewers and the market constituency here. I'm not. Now, from a market standpoint, I'm going to just again put the sequence of events here. GQG comes in and the promoters they sell out. GQG is a marquee investor. That's a very comforting factor that the due diligence has been done threadbare. B, you've got the sovereign funds who understand and they take a multi-year view. They've taken a bet in Adani Group of companies. So really from a market standpoint, if I may use the word scrutiny, the scrutiny already has been done by some of the marquee investors. So that is something which I think we need to just perhaps bring out here, that a lot has changed in terms of the balance sheet analysis, cash flow analysis, pure due diligence, which some of these big investors would have certainly done before they invested their billions in Adani Group of companies. But that's my limited point here. Vinit?
So I certainly agree with you. I think the stock has been scrutinized like no other over the last 6-7 months, and they withstood the test of time. They've gone and done one acquisition of Sanghi Cements. They are doing a 4,000 crore capex. They've announced, which obviously without funding you cannot announce a capex. So the funding is coming through. Their cash position is strong. I believe that between themselves and the company, they built up a war chest of 80,000 crores. And I think that will be used, to shore up the share prices once, the SEBI final report is out. And I believe that they will come through unscathed from this. And that is my strong and firm opinion around that.
Last point, the same question to you. Whether it's scrutiny, whether it is stress test, whether it is due diligence, whether it is, checking things thread and bare, a lot of things have happened between Jan and now, or Feb and now. So should that be the focus, that big investors have come in, big P investors have come in, big sovereign funds have come in, big long-only funds have come in. And that in a sense, it's a due diligence, that in a sense is an endorsement in itself.
So
I think that question was for Deven Bhai.
Absolutely. I believe...
Vinit, I think I just want Deven Bhai to respond to that. Yeah, Deven Bhai.
Yeah, I guess I think this is the point. I think the long-term investors have taken the position in the company. They have fully understood the subject of infrastructure. They have fully understood how the infrastructure generates cash. They have fully understood the valuation at which I think they should be bought. And I think with the 25 to 50 years kind of a visibility that you have of these infrastructure assets which are generating cash, I believe that I think any sensible investor would probably I think take a long-term view, which I believe I think has already been taken. Today you have LIC kind of investor, which I think takes long-term investment bets. EQC has come up, and I think they have also taken a long-term investment bet into the group. So frankly speaking, I think the market understands this particular subject, as I call it. And maybe whatever the short-term objectives that one has, I guess I think the long-term objectives have not changed. In my viewpoint, if one can individually talk about respective businesses, I guess I think each and every business assumes significant amount of potential and growth story here onwards.
Vinit bhai, last question. In this fall, would you be a buyer in Adani Group of stocks? If yes, which one and why?
So for me, if that question is addressed to me, I think that the stock that needs to be bought definitely is Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises, followed by Adani Energy Solutions. And my reasoning for these three stocks to be picked up is very simple. Adani Ports is clearly a trade on the India's burgeoning exports, especially since China is collapsing, and we have already become the fifth largest exporter globally, and we are on the threshold of accelerating our exports. Also, the stock has got significant margins. EBITDA margins are one of the best in the world. Coming to the other stocks, which is Adani Enterprises, we are talking about the hydrogen end-to-end chain. Okay, there are two companies who have that in fold, Reliance and Adani. And I believe that Adani's valuations offer you a very low entry point at a low valuation to play the long game of green hydrogen. Apart from that, you have copper, you have many other businesses like airports and all. So they offer significant value. And the third company is Adani Enterprise Energy Solutions, primarily because they're more into the business of transmission, which is a very, very, a gated kind of business, protected. They are the first right on all the revenues that come from assets, and you get long-term revenues for almost 35 years. And we are in a blitzkrieg growth phase. Transmission assets need to be put up across the country for renewable energy. And to my mind, these three stocks offer you the best plays in the Adani group of stocks with qualified risk.
Right. Vinit, Deven, both of you, thank you so much for highlighting the perspective on how one should read into this news, and more importantly, what investors in the Adani Group entities should be doing. The stock's a little